Here we go. Let's just wait for the sound once again. Let's hope that it's working. I swear. I think it probably... Okay, it's too funny. Triple Play says those listening in the government probably took me down, and that is too funny. I may need to send this podcast to Razzball. Oh, they just make me just so crazy. Okay, so I hope you got at least part of my rant. Trevor Bauer is ready to come back. He deserves a place to pitch. He deserves a second chance. I don't know if you heard this, but all of you people out there who don't think that he deserves another chance are absolute hypocrites, because you have no problem with guys actually beating their wives on camera and all of this stuff. You have no problem with them getting second chances, but you sit up there and you cancel and you make fun and you shame and you do all these things that's just total disgrace to sports journalism. Sound is back, and I just continued right where I left off. To all of you friends, thank you very much for coming back. Now, Malpal, wonderful to see you. So, here's the bottom line with Bauer. Don't draft him. I'm not going to draft him, and I just don't think that any team is going to sign him until he's done with this final litigation that he's involved in. I do think he'll win, just like he's won the others. Never had to pay that woman a dime. Okay, so that's that. A lot of people hate him. I don't care. I like him. If the media vultures hate him, it makes me want to be their friend, okay? So, here we go. I hope you got most of it, because I did give some good info involved in the rant. Gary Sanchez, in an agreement with the Brewers on a 1-year contract with the mutual option. George Hubschman is so great on Facebook, and he comes to the chat room and he gives us updates, and he talks about Gary Sanchez signing with the Brewers, which is kind of odd since they just signed Eric Haas to back up. Is it William or Wilson? William Contreras. It's one of the Contreras. So they already have 2 catchers. That's the point. The Brewers also have a bunch of outfielders that will be using that DH to get into the lineup. So you got Christian Yelich, Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Jake Bauers, all lefties. Okay, so Gary Sanchez, not really quite sure where exactly he's going to fit in the lineup, okay, because they have a glut of outfielders that are going to probably rotate with that DH spot in outfield. He's 31 years old, Sanchez, and he really did have a frustrating time trying to get a job last year, but when he finally did, he made the most of it. He was claimed by the Padres. He made 260 plate appearances over 72 games. He hit 19 home runs. His batting average and on-base percentage are boo-hoo, 218 average. An OBP under 300 is always a huge red flag, 292. But he had a weighted runs created plus of 115, which means that he is about 15% better than the league average hitter. Okay, yes, George is great. King Hap, I didn't smash the equipment at the Meldick Studios. I didn't. I'm actually happy for Bauer. I think it's great that he goes out there and first of all, he didn't used to be that friendly to fans. It's nice to see him actually signing jerseys and talking and retweeting and like interacting with fans. He didn't used to do that. I think that I hope. I had a long discussion. I was sent a private message at X. This guy says, me and my group of guy friends, we're all having a debate about Trevor Bauer, and we could use a woman's opinion. And I said, of course, I'm not the typical woman here, okay? My opinion is probably in line with your opinion, but he kept arguing about how, a guy, Trevor Bauer, seems like he's never going to be satisfied with just one woman, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, he said that. He was very honest about it. The media vultures hated him for that. He came out and he said, I'm not interested in being with just one woman. I'm not interested in having a family at this stage of my life. I'm interested in baseball. If you want to sleep with me, I'm going to sleep with other people. The media vultures just couldn't believe that he had the cojones to say that and thought it was just so disrespectful. And I would say to that, how about the fact that he's being honest right up front and he's not breaking people's hearts? I mean, he tells them straight up what he wants, but I really hope, and I think the chances are good, that when something like this happens to a young man like Bauer, who is now old enough and figured out the hard way what can happen when you start sleeping around with random people and doing crazy things that you shouldn't be doing, I really do hope that he has matured from this and learned his lesson. I mean, his whole life changed over it. If he didn't learn after this, then he's never going to learn. But I do believe that he needs to get married to his agent immediately. Rachel Luba, she loves him. He loves her. You could just tell. I think it would go a long way to do some kind of rekindling of his reputation, okay, if that's possible, which, okay. So anyway, the MLB owners, they had a presentation on Wednesday, which is yesterday, about how MLB players could play in the 2028 Olympics, which is going to be in Los Angeles. There will be 6 or 8 nations, 5 or 6 day tournament in mid-July, which means the All-Star game could be held or canceled for a year. Yes, Leonard? We're not having trouble again, are we?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Leonard Donaldson. Leonard Donaldson. My long shot is Bauer to the Twins. They seem to give pitchers a second chance, plus not the media scrutiny. That's true. Gary Sanchez is peak losing player in today's game. Is a peak losing player in today's game. More stuff from the chat room. King Hap. What you doing, King Hap? Bauer to Baltimore is almost perfect fit. He says no, question mark. I don't know. Mets are in contact with JD Martinez, but no word yet how close they are or how likely a deal is. Now look here. Here's the deal. That's from New York Post, by the way. The Mets are one good pitcher away. If any team could use Bauer, it's the Mets. I would love it. It would just be the most fantastic thing for me to actually get to go see him pitch at Citi Field. I would love it more than anybody. So I hope, because I honestly believe that the Mets are one good pitcher away from contending, and they're still talking about what, Leonard?
You were in the clubhouse with him, but you were afraid to talk to him.
Yes, I did. I was in the clubhouse with Bauer, but I was too afraid to talk to him. In the dugout. Yes. Anyway, I got so nervous, I literally ran the other way. I don't know why I did that. I'll never... It's probably better because I didn't really want to know if he was a dick or not, because I liked him. So, all right, here's the deal. The Mets are close to contending. I don't care what any haters say. They're one good pitcher away from contending, and they are still interested in a designated hitter. They're still interested in a power hitter. Jorge Soler is still available. JD Martinez is still available. So let's go Mets, right? Also, before the end of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about Mark Vientos. So Brent Honeywell signed with the Pirates, minor league contract with an invitation to major league camp. He would earn $1.25 million salary if he makes the majors. So he had a 4.82 ERA and a 1.45 whip in 52 and a third innings last season with the Padres and the White Sox. He pretty much sucks. He'll have an opportunity to make the Pirates opening day bullpen, but he's totally fantasy irrelevant. And the only reason I bring him up is because it is some news. Another thing that's some news is Trevor Gott, okay? Now, the general manager, David Forst, he says that Trevor Gott is a potential candidate for save chances coming up this season. Now, they already have Danny Jimenez and Mason Miller also firmly in the mix for the closer spot. But the manager did not rule out the possibility of another free agent signing, okay, before the season starts. Now, they did discuss this with him when they signed him to a one-year deal in December. He's 31 years old, Trevor Gott, and he's not great as a closer. He's a bullpen guy. He's actually only 6 for 17 save opportunities during his big league career that dates back to 2015. But he does have 255 regular season appearances and a mid-90s fastball. So don't count Trevor Gott out completely. And I'm telling you, don't draft this guy either unless you're in a super deep mixed league or only league, okay? Because there's other guys that are in the mix for the closer spot. Now, early projections here from PECOTA, P-E-C-O-T-A. They have the Rays missing out on a third wild card spot to the Texas Rangers, King Turd. How do you feel about that? All right? What do you think, Turd? The Rangers beating out the Rays for the third wild card spot. The Orioles, who I think could win that dang division over in the American League East, the Orioles acquired Nick Maton from the Tigers in exchange for cash. So Nick Maton, if you'll remember, he was designated for assignment by the Tigers on Monday in order to clear space for Colton Ingram. All right? Phillies president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, said in an interview on 94 WIP in Philadelphia that he does not expect Andrew Painter to pitch in games this season. Now, I do like to follow Eric Cross 04 on X. He's a big prospect fantasy guy. He did let us know that he expected this anyway, but that Andrew Painter could be a good buy low in Dynasty. But here's the thing, okay? Let me tell you just some red flags that you got from Andrew Painter. He's only turning 21 in April, but he didn't pitch at all in 2023, and he's not going to pitch at all in 2024. So we're looking at 2 full missed seasons by this guy. He underwent Tommy John surgery last July. Somebody please explain to me why all of a sudden Tommy John surgery recovery is taking freaking 2 years. Good grief, as if we don't baby these guys enough. You know it's not the pitchers trying to stay out for 2 years. These guys want to get back in the game. And they're working their asses off to get back in the game. And they're the strongest they've ever been in their life once they come back to the game. But you got guys like Walker Buehler. Now Andrew Painter is going to miss 2 years for a Tommy John surgery, and he's not even 21 years old yet. I get that Walker Buehler's already had 1 Tommy John, but what the hell's the difference? Now he's got 2 Tommy Johns. You get a brand new elbow when you get that surgery. It's a brand new ligament. Doesn't matter if you had 2, 3, 5, 10, 20. If you don't fix your pitching mechanics, you'll probably have to do it again. But the point is, what is taking so long for these pitchers now? All of a sudden it takes them 2 years to come back from Tommy John surgery. It's a bunch of bull dinky. All right, so I don't know what kind of great quality dynasty pick Andrew Painter is going to be after his Tommy John surgery. Takes him 2 years to get back. So there's that. Orioles general manager Mike Elias, he said in an interview on 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore that Jackson Holliday will play a lot of second base during spring training. Now, the vast majority of Holliday's starts in the minors have come at shortstop, and that position is his likely position for long term. But he did play some second base and third base, and there could be some starts available at second base this season. But at the moment, it looks like Jordan Westburg is going to be at the top of Baltimore's depth chart at second base, so they'll find a spot for Jackson Holliday, right? I mean, let's go. Let's talk about your boy Ellie, and I do not recommend drafting Ellie at pick 21, but boy, is he fun. He's fun to talk about. He's fun to watch. I know he's fun to play baseball with, okay? Nobody hit a longer home run at his ballpark, Great American Ballpark, in 2023 than Ellie De La Cruz. Also, that's not it. That's not the only thing. Nobody hit a longer home run at American Family Field in 2023 than Ellie De La Cruz. And if you're wondering where American Family Field is, can we just call it Miller Park? It's Miller Beer. It's Miller Park. That's what it's supposed to be, but that's not what it is anymore. I do like the name American Family Field, even though I think that's an insurance company. I don't know. Anyway, Ellie hit the longest home run at that ballpark, too. He also hit the longest home run at Nationals Park in 2023 and the longest home run at Progressive Field. Literally, Ellie De La Cruz hit the longest home run out of 4 different ballparks in the short time that he was even in the majors. And yes, while the ceiling can bottom out, while the floor can bottom out, the ceiling is limitless for Ellie. That's by Codified Baseball. Another one, Walker Buehler has lower first inning ERA than any other Major League Baseball pitcher with 40 or more career starts. Let me have a sip of my coffee. Am I yelling, Leonard?
You're doing great. Someone who said before the show you didn't feel like doing it.
I didn't feel very good before the show, but now I'm good now. Anyway, Lenny's my biggest supporter, my best fan. Okay? So Walker Buehler taking his sweet ass time, and I get it. I know the Dodgers rotation is deep as could be, right? I know they don't need Walker Buehler. Okay, but that reminds me of another thing I wanted to point out that was mentioned by Vlad Sedler. Okay, he's on X. Rotogut, I know this guy. Anyway, I read his stuff, but some of the stuff I don't agree with, and that's what it's all about. You know, you got to have a couple different opinions, and that's what you take all the opinions in, and then you make your own decisions based on everybody's what they think. So he wrote a tweet that said, he's sleep deprived, but he's going to take this as a sign from the heavens to draft the hell out of Emmett Sheehan. Just the fact that he had the Fangraphs pictures on there, the rankings, and it happened to be highlighted on Emmett Sheehan, and I just looked at it, because I actually had just looked at Emmett Sheehan, a Dodgers guy, okay, so since we're talking about the Dodgers, the thing is about Emmett Sheehan, first of all, he's not even guaranteed a spot in the rotation, and he may or may not have a spot in the rotation until Buehler gets back, but didn't they just sign Kershaw too? Either way, you're going to have quite a few months where Buehler and Kershaw are not available, and so Emmett Sheehan, sure, but are you going to draft him? I'll tell you the downside to drafting him. He hasn't been any good at any level above AA, and that is true. He strikes out a ton of batters, but he also walks too many batters, and he has a hard time keeping the ball in the park. So, his ADP does not sound unreasonable at like 207 or something in that area. But I'm a hard no on Emmett Sheehan. I get, all the love for the Dodgers pitchers and stuff, and good for you. But to be honest, they already have Bobby Miller, Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Walker Buehler, Emmett Sheehan, James Paxton, Ryan Yarbrough, Gavin Stone, Michael Grove. They're just jammed up. But just take a look at his minor league numbers. Yes, he was excellent in AA. Yes, he strikes out a lot of batters. Yes, he has a great fastball. But hello, if you can't keep the ball in the park, your strikeout doesn't matter. There was one pitcher that I can't remember, but he pitched for Colorado, and I really wish I could come up with his name right at this very moment. But this guy struck out so many batters, but he just walked the shit out of batters all the time, allowing runs on the bases, runners on the base paths. No, he was a Colorado pitcher. Sanchez. Jonathan Sanchez. Any of you in the chat room remember Jonathan Sanchez from like 2010? It was a long time ago. Anyway, back to back. Let's go back to the action now. What I also am prepared to give you on Saturday Fantasy Baseball is a lot of outfielders. In fact, I've been telling you so importantly to not ignore the outfield position, okay? You want to get a good group of outfielders before the 10th round. You better have a good, stable start to your outfield. You do remember every team gets 5, so if you're playing in a 12-team league, that's a lot of outfielders, okay, that have to go. And this is a situation where all of a sudden, if you're not careful, you will turn around and you will be like, holy crap, there's no outfielders. But on Saturday Fantasy Baseball, I promise to bring you some middle to late round outfielders for every fantasy category. And look, a lot of this stuff at the end of the draft, it's not about the position as much as it should be about the category needs. So let's say you drafted a couple guys early in the draft that are going to pound you out 50 home runs, but they're like a Kyle Schwarber. Let's say you drafted a Kyle Schwarber, right? Like I did the other day. And all of a sudden you say, how am I going to fix this 199 batting average? Well, I can tell you right off the bat, Luis Arias is a great target for anybody that has to draft Kyle Schwarber, okay? And we're talking about in batting average leagues here, okay? So it's just the first one that comes to mind, and Luis Arias is not very flashy. He's not going to steal you bases. He's not going to hit a ton of home runs, but he gets on base so much. He'll steal a couple. He'll hit a couple homers, and he will absolutely help you with his 600 plate appearances. Actually, I think I was reading today that he hasn't reached 600 plate appearances, but I'm not positive about that. Like I said, I've put together a list of mid to late round outfielders that aren't great for everything, but you will have needs towards the end of the draft, so you'll have positions to fill and needs to fill, okay? So that's the big key takeaway here. So Saturday Fantasy Baseball is chock full of mid to late round outfielders for every fantasy category. Now, there are only 4 players since 2011 that are still with their original team that they signed with, okay? And they all debuted within 64 days of one another. It's Jose Altuve with the Astros, Charlie Blackmon with the Rockies, Salvador Perez with the Royals, and Mike Trout with the Angels. I thought that was a great tidbit. What else do we got here? I think I might be finished. Yes, because I can't really... Oh, wait, I have a couple more. So, Brendan Rodgers didn't fit into the outfielder talk, obviously. But he is... I thought I'd just talk about him for a second. Now, there's a huge problem with Brendan Rodgers, and that is that he's never turned out to be what we thought he would be. In fact, he came back from surgery in late July last year, and it's one injury after another for this guy. He's finally 27 years old, so his peak performance could happen. It probably won't happen. He is a Colorado Rocky, so the chances of him hitting better are good. And he did finish the season pretty darn strong. He hit .348 with a .392 on base percentage and 4 home runs over his last 17 games played. He's a second baseman. His ADP is 405, which means he's not even being drafted. Leonard, you've been touting this Brendan Rodgers for years.
Not anymore.
Oh, of course, Lenny has given up. So if Lenny's given up on him, then you can bet your bottom dollar that most people have given up on this guy. All right? Anyway, if you need some power, if you need something, I'm just letting you know he's available. He did very good in his last 17 games of the season. Let's hope he's healthy, but I think he is. He will get the Coors Field boost next year. And also, I'm not really sure if Boston Paul came and blessed us with his presence today. But he asked me about Mark Vientos, another New York Met. And I gotta say, the fans are excited for this guy. He's only a DH, so that's why his ADP is 481. But don't forget about him. He's definitely gonna get playing time. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the rumors have it that the Mets are still out looking for a DH. like J.D. Martinez, right? The New York Post just wrote yesterday that they're in talks with J.D. Martinez. If they sign a guy like J.D. Martinez, it is going to push one of these two, Brett Beatty or Mark Vientos, out of the batting order. One of these guys is a third baseman, and the other one is going to be the DH. It looks like so far that Mark Vientos will be the DH, and Brett Beatty will get another chance to man third base. This guy, Mark Vientos, strikes out 30% of the time, but I just saw a video yesterday of what he's doing this offseason. It has nothing to do with the strikeout rate, but he sure is working hard. He's doing everything. I mean, he's running bases, he's doing weights, he's doing all this stuff, and that doesn't, like I said, doesn't have anything to do with whether or not he's going to hit good next year. But he's 24 years old, all right? And he's only going to have DH eligibility going into the season. He has a 51% hard hit rate. He barrels the ball 10.7% of the time. He also does take walks, so it kind of cancels out a little bit, that 30% strikeout rate with a 10% walk rate, okay? So, and by the way, he struck out a AA and AAA at 27% of the time, so you can pretty much guarantee that this guy is going to come up as a big power strikeout guy, all right? The Mets have him. Andrew McCutchen last year. This isn't one of my guys. I don't even know where he's going in ADP, but I follow this guy on X, Mike Kurland. Andrew McCutchen, 2023, 12 home runs, 11 stolen bases, but remember, it was only 112 games that he played in. He still has that strong plate discipline. He's patient, okay? Get this, though. Last year, 44.6 hard hit rate, which is tied for the highest of his career, which, by the way, this stuff has only been being tracked since 2015. And I guarantee Andrew McCutchen's career started before that happened. However, he's in the 77th percentile in sprint speed still. And he enters 2024 in a mostly regular role. So there you go. That's just a little preview of what we're going to do on Saturday baseball. Thanks to everybody who came and joined me in the chat room. The Mets catcher, Francisco Alvarez. Yes. Laura, can't wait to see you, lady. You know, you're the only person we didn't pay for last year's leagues. We will pay you. Absolutely. I could pay you through a text message if you want. But I sure would love to meet up with you and Mary at the diner. Now listen, we are getting some leagues going. The mixed chat room leagues, depending on how many people show interest, they will be a slow draft, a best ball league. So nobody has an excuse to tell me that they have too many leagues they're playing in. We just love to do something fun with the people who support us every day. And that's what we're going to do. So please, if you're just listening for the first time or you don't come to chat or you do, whatever, send Lenny an email. LennyMelnick@gmail.com. Let him know that you're up for our best ball mixed leagues this year. There is a prize and it's free to enter. Everybody have a great day.